water that is coming from the pipe. In super ofi pipe mu ba he nanyua. The mesioti. And the sala ngwa for don ha wutu galamsey. Yeah. Pipe. Onye go to munsu or a pipe pa no lu dem. On the pipe. Into why no one galamsey you too, when you galamsey you too. Now was say a pipe na papa and so you know. Okay. I do if more about.
By 40%. There are people who are involved in responsible small-scale mining who have invested millions of cedis and millions of dollars, who are mining responsibly, who are reclaiming the landscape, who are contributing to our national economy, who are employing hundreds and thousands of Ghanaian youth who have committed no crime. So if you announce a ban tomorrow, it means that you have to look at the consequences on the national economy, which obviously will be catastrophic.
You have a child who is hemorrhaging and needs critical surgery that might be risky, might be painful, and all of that. You're not going to wait beating about the bush and all of that. It is important for the president to know that you, in the month of August, if you have stability of 14,000 NTUs, and already you also have climate change playing with us, and there's drought happening, if you are not careful, and you waste all this time pussyfooting around the challenges that are confronting us, and you don't act decisively, it might be too late, it might be irreversible. So it is important that power, you see, because the things that the minister said, the military police going, we are not too sure the conditions under which they are going in at, and that is what we've been doing since 2017. And we still are able to get stability at 14,000 NTUs in August.
Okay.
So it is urgent that we get that extra power. You know, in the UK, when they had the challenges with the route, they set up a special court, and people were taken to the court immediately, and punishments were, and so because of the decisive way in which they handled it, they were able to nip this thing in the bud. But look at the way we are handling this thing, and how long have we been crying out? Over 2 weeks, consistently, and we're not getting any response. We need to hear the president, like we had him when we're in COVID, where he was addressing. He is the commander-in-chief. He is the only one we voted for. He has executive president. You know, we have an executive president. The minister and all of that, they act for him on his behalf. But in the crisis, you want to hear your father.
You and I must shine light on the galamsey menace. We must bring this issue to light, confront it with truth and justice. We must confront it. We can't pretend it is not happening. Recently, they took samples of water in bottles. They had the before and the now. And when you look at the samples of the water we have, very soon, we won't even have water to drink. Because the galamsey, it's the mercury and the chemicals they use, they seep into the soil. They seep into the soil. And if we don't do something about it, very soon water that our parents could easily fetch and drink at the riverside will have to be importing it. Pure water. We will have to import pure water from overseas. Because if the water that will go into our, how do they call it, where they treat our water treatment plants, will be so saturated with chemicals, because the chemicals to purify it will be so much that we can't even be able to drink. By the time you are drinking water that has been bottled in this country, you'll be killing yourself.
We must either keep quiet and sing together with the populace. Now, water is becoming very difficult to get. Ghana Water is saying that within the shortest possible time, they may not be able to produce water. The waterborne diseases that is taking place at this mining area, see, it could be Pra or Birim or Ankobra or whatever. So my colleague church leaders, we are preparing the people for heaven. We are not preparing deaf people to heaven. We must preach the truth like Jeremiah and Amos. We might be, people will hate us, they will fight us, they will not understand us. But that is what Desmond Tutu and the others did to liberate South Africa from apathy. What is happening now is more dangerous and deadly than apathy. And all church leaders, let us not just go on Sunday morning, preach wonderful sermons, and get applause of the people, take offerings and tithes, and come home and think all is well. It is, our nation is being destroyed. We are heading towards a national doom.
Right. So the last two voices you heard belong to Reverend Frimpong Manson and Bishop Charles Agyinasare. The clergy have also stepped in very big. And you've had apostolic fathers, a good number of them, the respected men of God you have in the country, from Duncan Williams, Ituda Naba, Dagwood Mills, Ampia Kofi, Godin Kise, mention them. So this is where we are. But this morning, the duty bearers are right here in the studio. The Minerals Commission's boss, Forestry Commission, Abu Jinapo, will also be speaking to us, who is the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. You have heard him already. He says, a good discussion to have. You say, we are not interested in more discussions. He says, let's continue the discussion. And that your request from the TUC, the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, all of you, I'm beginning to look for an organization or association in this country that has not yet issued a statement calling for one drastic measure or the other, particularly beginning with a declaration of a state of emergency halting the mining in any form. Just this morning, just got this from the Ghana Institute of Foresters. They have also issued a statement and they title it Halt Mining in Forest Reserves. So their target, like others, is to the new legislation that was passed in 2022, by which the president, in the national interest, can allow persons, certain entities to mine in forest reserves. Right. So let me begin this discussion this way. The TUC, their statement had clear demands, like the Ghana Medical Association and all the health associations that came together. Of course, all other statements you have seen, clear demands. The Catholic Bishops' Conference, the Apostolic Fathers, all of them, clear demands. But having heard from Martin A.C., the Minerals Commission boss, having heard from Abu Jinapo, it is obvious that the ban that is being sought will not be done. Let's find out from the TUC first how or what they say about that. Ken Shunibua Kodia, Vice Chairman, the Trades Union Congress, joins us. Good morning and thanks for joining us, sir.
I'm saying, and good morning to our viewers and all our listeners.
Right. So the government is very clear. There cannot be a ban on small-scale mining. That's what you are asking for. There cannot be a ban on small-scale mining. As we understand, we get over 50% of our foreign exchange earnings from mining. And small-scale mining contributes 40% of that. The minister says if you do that kind of ban, the economy will get into difficulty. He actually uses the expression, the economy may get into bankruptcy. We're already a broke nation. So you're not getting your first demand, you and all the other civil society organizations. What do you say?
Something This comment is quite unfortunate. I think that it would have been more appropriate if government would have valued the other impacts in addition to the revenue loss that the country would lose. I mean, are we putting our lives and all the things at stake just on foreign exchange? Is that what the government is saying? When we have danger of Ghanaians losing their lives due to the chemicals being used, when we have the danger of not having water to drink, when the food that we are eating are being polluted with these chemicals, I mean, I think this argument is far below the belt. The discussion should not be on revenue, exchange rate, or income. It should be on the lives of the people of Ghana. The money coming in is to manage the people. What will be the use when the money is in and we have a lot of burden? I mean, I think that argument for me is not right. Government must listen to the people. Lives are at stake. We will not get water to drink. Chemicals into the food we are eating are going to kill all of us. The forest reserves are being... So something, I think that this call is not right. Again, I hear people say that there are other companies that have license and so they should be exempted. Look, why don't you halt everyone and do a holistic audit and find out those who have licenses and are operating without polluting the waters and are outside the forest reserves? Why not? But you can't say that because of the foreign exchange or because others have licenses. We know of those, some having licenses, and yet polluting the same water and depleting the forest reserves. So TUC, or let me say, Labor, our call is very clear. In Akan or in Ghana, they said you don't stand in tons and remove tons. You must halt everything and then come and see how we can make progress. And so our call is quite clear, and I want to assure the minister that come the date we have set, TUC will not back down on this call. We'll do the needful.
You have been called to a meeting at which it is expected that there will be some resolution to this issue. Are you attending the meeting? You are supposed to send 20 of your members. The forum is supposed to send 20 of its members, and also this other group, the Federation of Labour, is supposed to send 20 of its members to this meeting. This will be on Tuesday, the 17th at 2 p.m. Will you be attending this meeting?
Something. Obviously, we respect our minister and will attend. But unfortunately, hearing from the same government officials who are part of this committee making these pronouncements, I mean, it takes away the shine of the meeting. If you have this posture before the meeting, what else are you going to communicate to us at the meeting? And the minister must know that the reputation of this country is far important to some of us. Our president was appointed as one of the ambassadors to uphold the SDGs, at least co-chair with the Norwegian Prime Minister in 2017. He was asked to co-chair the Prime Minister of Norway to uphold the SDGs. Ghana has signed all the international treaties. SDG number 15 requires that we protect and promote sustainable use of in fact, we have to halt reverse land declaration. We have to halt, go and read SDG Go 15. And our president is carrying this mandate to ensure that nationals, regional blocks and globally, countries should uphold these things. And he doesn't see the need, at least, to uphold that office he has been honorably elected into. I'm very clear in my conscience that nothing will stop organized labor from its demonstration, and the cost of demonstration, the peace, the industrial peace, aviation will be affected, revenue will be affected. How do you value this one against your 40% revenue loss? I think the minister must go back again to the drawing board.
So they are calling you to explain to you, because I and a number of my colleague journalists had the opportunity of being explained to some of the difficult situations, and part of which is what I just represented to you. So you hear, for example, Mrekuduka say that, just repeat to us the fact that in the year or near 2 years, when there was a ban on small-scale mining, that was the year we had the most imports from small-scale mining of gold. So it's no solution. What do you think?
Some said
the most exports. I mean, the most exports of gold through small-scale mining. That was the year we had the most exports of gold through small-scale mining. So it's ineffective.
Some said I don't want to even go to the angle where we have empirical records to trace how gold, the small-scale mining or the galamsey golds are exported. That's a different argument. What we are saying is this: go and check from GRE how much of this gold, that so-called small-scale gold or the galamsey, are impacting on GRE records. We are very clear in our mind that the president must do the needful. He must halt it. We'll go for the discussion, but we're not there to be convinced about
the question I ask you is, perhaps you don't have the information. So the point is, in those 2 years when there was a ban, that was when you have the most export of gold through small-scale mining. So it was ineffective. In those years when you threw Operation Vanguard, Operation Halt 1, 2, Operation Galamstop, and you deployed the military into the forests and into galamsey sites, what is the effect? So these are ineffective. You should find some other means rather than asking for another complete ban.
Some said the issue at stake now is different. What you outline is on the revenue part of the mining. At this juncture, it's about water to drink. It's about the chemicals entering the food we are eating. It's about you and I carrying water from Accra to our children in Cape Coast, in Takoradi, who are schooling. If you are a millionaire, or I don't know how much you earn, how often can you travel from Accra to Cape Coast and Takoradi to give water to your child who is in school? So the issue at stake today is different from what it was you've applied. But we don't want to even focus on the revenue, which seems to be the main discussion.
If you are this clear in your mind, we have heard some of your members on various platforms insist that there's no point attending this meeting, which is asking the Trades Union Congress to bring 20 members, the Forum to bring 20 members, and the Ghana Federation of Labour to bring 10 members. There's no point attending this meeting. So why are you attending the meeting if you're not listening to the explanations they have?
Having heard the minister and the government officials today, I didn't feel discouraged about it, about this meeting. I thought we're coming there to know what we can all do to make progress. But if this is what I'm hearing this morning, are the things coming to be discussed at the meeting, then I'm sure we'll even work out. We don't want government to think that having a committee or a task force or engaging us in a meeting is the way forward. The way forward is for the president to declare the state of the emergency and halt all legal or illegal. Halt everyone. Now let's see those who are doing responsible mining and let's allow them to continue. Those who are not, then we stop them and allow the water bodies to settle down the forest. Let's go on that tangent.
Okay.
We must halt everybody.
Okay. Ken Chinibua Kodia is the Vice Chairman of the Trades Union Congress. Thank you very much for your time. My next stop is a quick interaction with Professor Dr. Paul Poku Sampene Osei, Senior Lecturer and Professor in Forensics, Histopathology, KNUST School of Medicine and Dentistry, histopathologist, Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, Kumasi, Ghana. If you have taken your time to watch Erastus Asaridonko's Poison for Gold, that Joy News documentary, you will see him there. He's the one a while ago you watched who was talking about the deformed babies. In that documentary, Poison for Gold, you saw the babies without genitals, with 6 fingers, 6 toes, and malformed head. What is the cause? Heavy concentration of lead and mercury found in the baby and the placenta. The extreme deformation is confirmed in other babies in areas where galamsey is going on. Their mothers are coming into contact with contaminated soil or polluted waters, including simply inhaling the poison like vaporized mercury. These toxic metals, mercury, lead, and arsenic, now abound in the once safe water bodies where you could simply drink the water without it being treated. Professor Sampene, thank you very much for your time. Prof, unmute your mic.
Sorry about that.
Great, we can hear you clearly now. And thank you very much for what you do for Mother Ghana, for God and country, because 8 months ago, we got the empirical evidence of what is actually going on as far as the other effects of galamsey are concerned. And you say this borders on generational extinction. Please explain.
Thank you so much, Samson, and thank you for having me. Let me say good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. And also, let me state here that I'm almost very much appreciative of what multimedia group of company is doing. When this issue came up, they were the first to contact me, and then, as it were, help in letting the populace know the extent to which this irresponsible mining, I don't this time want to even call it galamsey again or small-scale mining, or they are all in the same soup. So I call them irresponsible mining. Irresponsible in the sense that most of the activities actually allow these heavy metals, which are very much incompatible with life, into our water bodies. They allow them into our soil, and now the effect is also being seen in humans. And so therefore, I see it as irresponsible, and therefore we have to be mindful of that and actually, what do we call it, work against that.
What brings you to the conclusion that this is a generational extinction? That's why it borders on. What brings you to that conclusion?
Well, yeah, it's true. Most of these things, like the heavy metals that are being inhaled, that are being ingested, and that are being having to have their way to our bloodstream, cause what we call irreversible damages, irreversible issues to the body. And these things, when they go in, they can pass on to others, especially if you inhale air that is polluted with all these heavy metals. In fact, what is going to happen is that mothers are going to continually be, giving birth to these children with all manner of deformities. And so these children, even though some of them may exist, or some of them may, for some reason, have the opportunity to live, by what sort of life are they living? They will living lives that are very uncomfortable, life that is not actually meant to be lived. And so therefore, what is happening is that very soon we'll see human beings walking, but the person is not a whole human being, but rather partial human being. That's half a human being, because the brain might have been affected, the kidneys are affected, the liver is affected, well, the brain is, like I said, is affected, the liver affected, the kidneys are affected, and in fact, all other reproductive organs, especially if you are a man, your sperms would have been affected, because these heavy metals find their way also into the very thing that causes us to even continue to reproduce. And then the women also have their gonads, I'm talking about the ovaries, and then their reproductive organs are also going to be affected. So naturally, we are going to see
people want to know how extensive your research has been. We are watching the deformed babies that you have preserved in formalin in the laboratory at the KNUST, the placentas that you have used to confirm empirically that mining areas, this is what is happening to the pregnant women and other people. How extensive is this research to be used to generalize in the manner being done?
Well, Samson, once again, thank you. I mean, the research is quite extensive in the sense that I have been able to cover about 5 regions where this illegal mining is being done with all its seriousness: Western region, Western North Central region, Eastern region, and Ashanti region. And I believe that I understand that now is being done in the northern part of Ghana too. Of course, I've not been there, and so if Ghana is made of 10 regions and I've been able to, occupy half, or been able to do half of the regions where these heavy illegal mining or responsible mining is being done, then I think it's quite extensive, especially if you look at the numbers, the number of placentas and the babies that have been able to get from them. And then, in fact, the very one that you saw is not the only baby that I have. I have some of them also, which of course I have to convince the affected family members to take samples of these deformed babies for teaching purposes and also for further tests to be done in almost all the organs, because some of them we did internal organs, but if you look at even the head, the nail bed, all of them are affected. And so therefore I believe that is quite extensive. And of course it's a research, and I will actually ask anybody who is also interested to pick other part of the research work and also go about it and then see what can be done about that. So for me, I think it's quite extensive.
So this was revealed almost a year now. We understand that you have done extra work most recently. What does it reveal?
Well, the extra work, like you rightly asked me, how extensive, the extra work that I've been doing of late is that I have added some water bodies. And the water bodies that I did were also about the same 5 regions, to be precise. And these 5 regions, I picked some water bodies from these galamsey sites right up to about 3.5 kilometers away from the galamsey site. And the values that I had in terms of the heavy metal suspension in the water bodies are quite alarming. And so the work is all still ongoing. In fact, I'm still doing some work on placentas. Like I said, it's difficult sometimes in Ghana to understand and then to appreciate why people sometimes don't want to give things. For instance, these placentas that are being sent into the incinerators to be burnt, and you ask for it, and it's a problem. And so for some reason, those mothers who have passed on, in fact, those ones, because I have every right to continue with the diagnosis I can sometimes take some of these placentas and be able to have a look at them. And so these placentas that I've done, which amounted to about maybe 50 or 70, 70 placentas, they are still showing these heavy metals. Some of them are having what we call fibrosis and then inflammatory processes going through the placenta while the baby is also in there. And so it's not something that we as Ghanaians will sit down and just look on, fold our arms and look on. There should be something done to actually avoid it. We shouldn't only be looking at the money that we'll get and then, look at what the profits that Ghana government seems to be getting, and then to the detriment of the humans that are going to use the very finances that the government is getting to, as it were, destroy us.
So this new research does not reveal any changes or any improvement since the last one?
No. It's rather worsening it.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. The values are getting worse. And then, in fact, the water bodies, once I did some survey on the water bodies, the values were quite significant, but not as hard or as big as I've seen of late. So the condition is not changing. The situation is not changing at all.
How do you go about this? It must involve a lot of money. How do you do it?
I do it all by myself. In fact, as a lecturer, it's part of our mandate that you research and then also contribute to society by giving your research findings out, and so on and so forth. So it's nothing but
the vice president of the vice president of the Ghana Medical Association, Professor Dr. Ernest York, was in the studio last week, and they were very happy about the work that you have done. I would presume that the Health Ministry is working with you, at least after the publication of the first one through the Joy News documentary.
Not at all, not at all, not at all. At a point, they were castigating me for the work that I was doing. Some quarters, they were saying that what I was doing was more or less like photoshopping or sort of. So they were not interested, the least enthused about what I was doing. So the ministry has not actually contacted me. Neither even the GMA didn't contact me. They were not so much enthused about what I was doing until the issue came to look at them, in the sense that when you go at the of our health facilities, you realize that the issues of kidney diseases, liver diseases, GIT diseases are now on the increase, and so therefore they have come to realize that what I was saying was not just a fluke, but something that was getting to an alarming proportion, and I believe that now they have understood, and probably maybe in the near future will contact me and find out what and how I did what I've done.
What led to this, your research, and how do you think the state can leverage on it to get to know much more about what is going on to assist in the solutions going forward?
Well, the motivation, like I've said, is the fact that one, I'm a lecturer, and two, my work also, as it were, asked me to involve myself a lot into research.
Your work as a pathologist?
As a pathologist, not only as a pathologist, but all lecturers in Ghana are actually asked to do some form of research and do publications. And the publication should not be any publication, but high esteemed peer journal, review journals. So it's very important that you do those research.
You are a forensic pathologist. How many of your class do we have in Ghana?
Class as in
how many of you do we have in Ghana?
No, as that one, as far as I know, I think I'm the only person. We have other pathologists who also do autopsies and all those things. But if it is something that is trained and certified, then I think so far maybe I'm the only person.
Okay. So
yeah.
I was asking, what extent of state collaboration do you feel is necessary, if at all, and what can that do for us in the galamsey fight?
One, I think that the governments should actually help in setting up some research fund. I know that the government is doing something well, something good in terms of funding research. They should fund research, and then the findings of the research must be used or be put into practice. They should also allow individuals who also are interested in funding research, especially research of this nature, must be funded. Let me also state that Mr. Samjona, Dr. Samjona, is that Dr. Samjona says Samjona, at a point had also come in to assist in the research into these heavy metals and its debilitating effect. And so I would wish that other institutions individually, and then the government especially, should be able to fund research so that some of these things will be resolved or be solved. You see, something, let me add that some of these things, like the galamsey may stop, or let's say the responsible mining may be halted, but the effect in the water bodies, people are talking about turbidities in the water bodies, not the turbidity that is the problem. The suspended heavy metals that cannot be seen. These suspended heavy metals can never be sedimented. And so therefore, we can stop this heavy metal pollution of the water bodies by looking at only the turbidity. That is not the issue. The issue goes beyond turbidity. And the heavy metals are the ones that are causing the problem. What the air pollution. Now everybody, we are breathing air anywhere, at any time you travel from one place to the other. How pure is the air that you are breathing in? And I've said that the manner by which these heavy metals can get into our body is even by inhalation, which of course you cannot say that you go to any place and carry your own oxygen.
Okay.
And inhalation is one, feeding is one, and then what do we call it? For some reason, having to interact with people around wherever you find yourself, right? Especially greetings. Like I said, that even the nail bed can also contain some of these heavy metals. So it's not an easy thing. And I believe that the government should see the sense in whatever the pressure groups, especially the TUC, GMA, UTAG, and all those things are saying, and then come to a conclusion or come to some form of agreement. We are not saying that they should ban mining completely. No, we are saying that they should halt it and then do reassessment of the situation and see where we are getting it wrong, and then improve upon where we are getting it wrong, and then the rest who can actually mine responsibly do so, and then everybody will stay, in peace, and everybody will stay in health.
Professor Sampini, thank you very much. But I'd like you to share, maybe very finally, on this with me. The Ghana Water Company in the Central Region, for example, I believe the statement they issued some 2 weeks ago is what brought the next heightened fight, where they said that, and I interviewed them last week, where we're told that their machine for water treatment was originally meant to treat water at 200 turbidity, MTU. It got to a point they had to give themselves an average of 2,000 turbidity as treatable. But today, they are having to treat 14,000 turbidity. In fact, they cannot treat, about 60% of the water or more. They used to treat with alum. We have also seen other women who are involved in the making of acheke and the rest. They go to the water sources, they fetch water. The water is murky. Then they put the alum in the gallon of water or barrel of water and wait for, the sedimentation to happen, and then they fetch it to use to do the food for all of us to buy and eat. Now we understand they are using polymer, which they say cost 4 times the price of alum. The question I ask you is, what do you know about any adverse effects as we increase the chemicals that we need to treat the water? In fact, we understand that tap water would have been the safest, because even as you put the water, you bottle them up, you are endangering that water even a lot more. Are there any dangers in the advanced chemicals that we are using to treat now?
Yeah, Samson, it's not for a fluke that, let's say, the World Health Organization, EPA, and then the health institutions around say that chemicals can be used, but at certain concentrations. And so those concentrations, when measured, is seen to be compatible, that even though some of them may be hazardous, to some extent, when it gets ingested into the body, can easily be eliminated. And so therefore, the elimination is very, very important. But at certain concentrations, it becomes toxic. All chemicals, there's no chemical, not even drugs, that cannot actually be used at concentrations where the system, especially the liver and the kidney, to the point that the kidneys and the liver cannot actually excrete it or eliminate it. And so if they are saying that they are using all these chemicals, the largest or the highest of its concentration, to be able to get some clean water, which of course I believe is not even clean at all, because if you can only sediment soil, and then forgetting of the suspended heavy metals, mercury, can you sediment mercury? No. Can you sediment lead? No. You can't sediment any of these heavy metals. And even if it can be sedimented, it's going to be very difficult to be done. And so therefore, if you are able to settle soil, clay, and you get something that look like you've gotten clean water, or some color water that is a bit clear for you to drink, and that you continue to add more chemicals, you should look at the liver. The liver is the largest organ in the body, and one of the functions of the liver is what I've already stated: elimination of chemical waste, and all manner of waste is done by the liver. The kidney will be the end where these chemicals that are toxic are excreted. And so when they are overwhelmed with chemicals, then the functions will be reduced. And when they are reduced, what they do is that they go into what we call compensatory mechanism. And that compensatory mechanism means that they are going to produce a lot more cells, which are detrimental. A lot more cells, we don't need those more cells or this. And so they will then go into falling into what we call stem cells, or residual cells in the liver and the kidney. And these residual cells in the liver and the kidney, they are supposed to be used at extreme cases. And these are now, we are using it now. So what is going to happen is we're going to probably have large number of people coming with kidney diseases as a result of all these things that the water company is doing. And they're going to have large number of people having to suffer from liver diseases, not even the man whoever is sitting in the member of the panel. All of them are at risk. The mining, the mineral commission director, the forest director, whoever is there. They shouldn't think that we are dealing with something that is so easy, something that is so simple. When it gets to humans, I'm telling you, my brother, it's irreversible.
All right.
And those who attempt doing something, let me just say something. There are some people that I came across who are doing legal mining, so to speak, small-scale licensed mining, and they have been coming to Komfo with kidney diseases.
Yeah, we have had doctors.
70% of them come to.
We have had doctors at Komfo and elsewhere in the mining areas confirm the kidney diseases, the increase in kidney cases, and also other bizarre diseases that they are beginning to find. Thank you so very much, Professor Dr. Paul Poku Sampene Osei, senior lecturer and professor in forensics histopathology, KNUST School of Medicine and Dentistry. Thank you very much. He's also histopathologist, Komfanoche Teaching Hospital, Kumasi. Now, let me get to the studio to deal with the duty bearers we have right here. And I'll start with a direct question for the two of you, gentlemen, and ask for a direct, quick response. We'll take a break and return to give you the time to explain matters to us. I'm referring in the studio to John Alote, Chief Executive, Forestry Commission, Martin Kwekwe, AC, who is Chief Executive, Minerals Commission. We will also be talking to Professor Gladys Nyako-Ansa, Associate Professor and Co-Principal Investigator of the University of York, UK, UG, as University of Ghana Galamsey Projects. So, the various associations, unions, well-meaning from all walks of life in this country, they seem to be unanimous that the first step is a declaration of a state of emergency. In very simple language, just halt all forms of small-scale mining for now. Will that happen, John Alote? Why should that not happen?
Samson, thank you, and then greetings to your cherished listeners and viewers. And then we also appreciate the heightened interest and concerns and recommendations made by various interest groups. We also note the interventions from the government side relating to the RESEC and the ad hoc committee. Something I will start by looking at probably why people do galamsey, why they undertake that activity. And then
we'll come to that.
Yes.
But I want
that will help me to be able to address that question.
You make the point and then you come to explain. There will be all the time for you to explain.
My point simple is that the minister has called for engagement. And I think that the various groups have come out with recommendations and then what they think should be done. I think it's proper the minister and the groups sit down and then they put forth their recommendations and then we are able to look at it and come out with...
They are straightforward.
Yes.
They are straightforward.
Yes.
Where there is the meeting of minds from the whoever has issued a statement is halt. Pause the process for now. All mining, legal or illegal, stop it for now.
Yes, but that doesn't stop the engagement process. It's important we engage. Even if you are strong on your point, you still will have to engage.
Should that happen?
That should happen.
Should the halting happen?
The engagement should happen.
How about the halting?
It will come out after the engagement.
Do you think we need more engagements?
Yes, we need engagement.
All of them are clear in their minds that the way forward is first stop.
It wouldn't take anything away to have a constructive engagement.
You will not advise that it is halted?
I will advise that there is an engagement prior to any decision.
You make me feel that I'm doing cross-examination in the courtroom. Stacey, we've heard you on this. Have you had a change of mind?
No.
Not at all?
Good morning to everyone. Samson, I'll be very blunt. The government has come out clearly on that. You heard my minister. He said wholesale ban is totally out of the question. Yesterday, he even went a step further and said it will affect the economy. He's not making apologies for, I will always say, the middle look alike water body we see. Was I consulted? Yes. The minister will not make any decision regarding mining without speaking to the Minerals Commission. So even ahead of his coming, I had even made it somewhere, I think on Metro, that wholesale ban will not solve the problem. I'll catalog a lot of maybe reasons for that when we come back. But then my colleague here was talking about engagement. Something, again, in all humility and respect. I have read the statement of the organized groups. Let me use that simple term to put all of them together. When I go through them, I realize that there are a few things that they need to understand. I mean, the argument that the water bodies are not clear, it's not the best existential threat, whatever they want to call it, that one, nobody is contesting that because it's out there for everyone to see. I don't live in space. But then when you go to their statement, you realize that there are a few things that we need to, we want to let them understand. So the engagement is very, very important.
Do you subscribe to the minister when he says the economy will be in trouble?
Yes.
If it is halted?
Yes.
By the data from the Bank of Ghana, total gold export between January and April 2024 amounted to $2.17 billion, representing 38.5% of total export earnings within that period. If small-scale mining accounted for half of this, we are talking about just over $1 billion in 4 months. If you net out direct cost and the cost of environmental havoc, as well as health havoc, the net effect will be negative. You don't agree?
Something. I even have a more latest figure, as at June 30th, the small scale is $2.2 billion. But at this stage, we're not talking about figures. You see, when I listened to the professor, I think the earlier speaker, what's the name? Chinibio Akoduya. You can see that the argument, their response, in response to the minister's statement yesterday, they were just looking at the revenue. You see, that's why this call for engagement is very important. They're just looking at revenue. But you see, there are two other issues that you have to look at. For example, people are shocked to know or hear that there are several thousands who are doing the underground. So you go to a place like Takwa, you go to a place where my minister comes from, the so-called New Frontier, Dakrupe, Tinga, they have licenses. So as far back as the time of Asuma Chairman, I was there when licenses were given. I was then a deputy CEO. Licenses were given to miners in Dakrupe and Tinga. They go underground. These are persons who are plying their trade that have nothing to do with the water body. They have nothing to do with the water body. So when you say respectfully that folks in Tinga, Dakrupe, Takwa should not work, we are uncomfortable with that because they are not responsible for the kind of thing.
They should not work for 4 months.
Well,
by doing so, you lose $2 billion.
No,
you say that's not worth it.
No, don't just look at revenue to government. You also have to look at jobs. And people in Takwa, Dakrupe, and Tinga have gone for loans. They've taken loans. They've taken millions of dollars to sink these shafts that are operating in a way that have nothing to do with taking the effluent or whatever waste into the Pra and Cobra or tunnel. I mean, these guys are there, and they are not just 1 or 2 people. There are several thousands. So you also need to listen to them and hear them out. You understand? You need to listen to them because you go to Tinga, you don't have anything like Pra or even some parts of the Upper East. I just got a report from the Borga officer of the Minerals Commission, and then I've realized that he's indicated that if you go to Fumbisi, and that's Busa North and Busa South, there's an area called Kandema. They've started some kind of illegality, and when I saw the pictures, it was purely underground. So I've asked him, move quickly, let's formalize them, let's give them gold catcher as an alternative to the use of mercury. I mean, these are the kind of things we're talking about. So, yes, the anger is there.
We'll explain the difference between the use of mercury and gold catcher.
Yeah, we'll explain all that.
But you were talking about licenses, and the question that is coming up is that when we check from your repository we see that between 2017 to 2024, there have been 1,500 plus mining licenses issued, as against 2009 to 2016, when there were 55 mining licenses issued. Between August and now, when we have started this discussion alone, you have granted as many as 30 plus. Don't you feel you should halt and pause, especially in this time?
Something again, let me explain that. One, some of them are renewals. Others, you know, there are small-scale operations that have existed for 20, 30 years, and they are working quietly. Okay, so some of them are renewals. You must understand that. That's number one. Number two, this is an activity that was taking place in 5 regions: Ashanti, Central, Eastern, Western, which included Western North. You understand that? And then Upper is where you come from. Technology has made it possible for us to find gold in other parts of the country. So we are now seeing small-scale operations in 12, 13 regions. So numbers have gone up. That's why the licenses are also going up. But then the answer is rather the reverse. You don't issue the licenses, they go into the water body. They will go into the forest. They will go and do it illegally. Because I remember very well that the complaints of the small-scale miners is that we don't have license. We want license to go and work lawfully. I mean, there are several, thousands of Ghanaians out there who wants license to go and work and live in peace. So numbers, or the numbers you are seeing from our repository, is not synonymous with illegal mining.
The conversation has been that it is the breach of these licenses that has brought us where we are.
Right, Samson, when we say breach, again, people speak generally. We have, even the large-scale people, occasionally there are breaches. That's why we have Inspectors and Minerals Commission to check them. What is the issue at stake? What are we discussing? We are seeing Pra, Tano, and Cobra, Brim and Co. looking like Milo. What is responsible for that? People mount platforms, various devices in the water proper, so-called, and then try to dredge, whatever language you want to use, scoop and do that kind of thing. That's one. These are people who don't have licenses. The Minister or Minerals Commission will not recommend the grant of a license to somebody to enter the water body, mount a platform or whatever device and do that kind of activity. So that is illegal. That is one of the causes. The other one has to do with persons who are perhaps within the bank or perhaps upstream, okay, because they don't have modern equipment.
We are not supposed to do 100 meters from the water bodies.
Yes, so they also, dig the ore and then wash into the water body. So we have to be careful we don't lose focus in our discussion. It has nothing to do with the guy in Dakrupe or Tinga who has sunk a shaft and is going down, bring the ore body up and process it on site.
Over a period
and hang on, and he's properly regulated. So for the Tinga guy, there's several thousands in Dakrupe and Takwa. When you say, everybody, put your tools down, they will have a problem with you because they are not responsible for the kind of mess you and I agree is annoying everybody.
They should not be punished for the sins of the others.
That is it. And then when I made this my statement, then...
Right. The question is, as you say, that is overgeneralized. But many come to the conclusion, including journalists who are visiting these so-called licensed mining places, and finding that it is the breach of the laws by the same people who have these licenses that is leading us to this problem. So that over this period, you say you felt that the community mining was the way to go. So you have given out 24 of such licenses to community mining. But in the heat of this discussion, where everybody is asking you to halt, just 2 days ago, you went and commissioned another of this community mining. Does it show that you are being responsive?
Something. Let me clarify this. Again, community mining is one of the several ways to go. We've seen cases, several of them, where they come and tell us, in fact, some people have even used the term glorified galamsey. So it's brought to our attention, this is community mining. You go and investigate. People have just mounted some signboard and put there, let's say, rah-rah community mining. and they are doing their own thing. There are several of them
fraudulent.
Oh yes, and they are not licensed. So when you drive by and you see Rara community mining, there's no gold in Rara yet. You know, we found something, but we are not mining. I'm just using that as an example. That's where I come from. Okay, or I see community mining. These things are brought to our attention. You just drive by, maybe to Konongo or somewhere, and then the journalists will pick it, or some people will take a shot and say, yes, this is what we are talking about, glorify community mining. We send our inspectors there, we go and check, we realize that they have no license at all. People are doing that. And then these things are reported to the Assembly or the security agency, so it's important we put it there. It will be foolhardy on my part to sit here and even tell you that even the likes of Newmont or Goldfields, everything is 100%.
Okay, I was going to get
yes, there are some. Of course, that's why we have inspectors. We go there and correct them, and in instances shut them down. There was a case recently where my attention was drawn to the fact that there's a community mining, you know, in the forest. And then clearly, I know that we don't grant licenses for small scale in the forest, like the minister said. We went there, it was an illegal operation. So I get it, people are angry. I don't live in space, we live here, we dream. You know, but then in our anger, let us not be carried away by emotions and then go and touch persons.
It's not emotions, so we are seeing our water.
I understand that.
We are being told of all the dangers. The deformed babies are there. We are consuming food. We are told it's contaminated. The water company is telling us that we needed 2,000 turbidity level to treat water. At this time, it is 14,000 turbidity.
No apologies. Nothing practically grows in Accra. I like fufu a lot. I ask myself, do I know where the cassava? I eat akrante practically every day. And all these foodstuffs that we buy, they are coming from some of these areas. You understand that? So we understand that. But you see, when we also respectfully get carried away, and then several of them. So you see, when the argument was being made on the revenue alone, I became a bit uncomfortable. So when the government says, let's engage for you to understand some of the issues, that is not to say that we are not prepared to deal with the problem.
So I'm coming to you. And when I return from the break, many of my viewers want you to answer the simple question.
Yes.
If you are in charge, issuing licenses, and making sure that the one who is doing the wrong thing you have just spoken about does not do that wrong. And this is what we are seeing. Should you keep your office? Now to Ms. Alote, the question that is popping up predominantly for you is that where did we go wrong? That in the midst of all this trouble, you allow the LI 2460 something, is it, to be passed for forest reserves to be mined. And immediately it was passed in 2022 November, correct? How many people have gotten the license to mine in the forest, and the good number of them have been associated, the companies, the owners of the companies have been associated with the NPP. Why did you allow that? Many are asking that law should be reversed, that it's one of the biggest problems. What do you say?
There's something. I think that for most of the people who are commenting on this particular LI, the area that they talk about is the Section 3.1, the prohibited areas, which states clearly that a person shall not issue a license or permit to any person to undertake mining activity, including exploration activity in the following areas: the globally significant biodiversity area, the protected provenance areas, and he lists a host of them. Then the two then gives a caveat where the president may, subject to the Article 268 of the Constitution, give approval in writing to a mining company to undertake mining activity in a globally significant biodiversity area in the national interest. So the LI states clearly the areas that are prohibited, so far as mining in forest reserves are concerned. I think it's the case where people are talking about the area where the president may allow that in the national interest. So is it that we don't trust that the present decision will be based on the national interest?
People have been asking.
People
want to know what the national interest is.
The national interest will be rest with the president.
The Wuntumis and all those people, those.
I'm saying that the national interest that is stated here is the president to take that decision,
right?
Not the Forestry Commission. What the Forest Commission is happy about is that all these areas, the hill sanctuary, the high conservation value areas, have been excluded, except for national interest, which will be determined by the president in writing. So that is my take on it. If you ask me about the
majority of Ghanaians,
yes,
either represented in the TUC and all these other organizations, the Catholic bishops, the apostolic fathers, all of them. Again, they are clear that this new law allowing people to mine in the forest reserve is bad. It should go. I think the Ghana Academy of Sciences, Arts and Sciences are also clear about that particular law, that it should be reversed. As the man in charge of this subsector, what's your view on that?
Yeah, so far as the Forestry Commission is concerned, we have not issued any permit relating to globally significant biodiversity area. What I know, the only one I know is the Etiwa, where there is some pre-mining activities in terms of exploration. Otherwise, there has not been any permit issued to any company to mine in those areas that have been mentioned as far as the Forest Commission is concerned.
Oh, are we on different wavelengths? I'm referring to this LI at the back of which the Fourth Estate has done a documentary highlighting the licenses that have been issued since this law was passed in November 2022. That's what I'm referring to. And you say the power it gives to the president in the national interest to give people the concessions in the forest reserve. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, but something, Forestry Commission doesn't issue licenses. It's only when the person applies for a forest entry permit, then he attach or enclose the mining lease, and then the EPA and other documents that are required. That is the point where we'll consider the application. And as I speak, we have not issued any permits in those areas that have been mentioned.
Okay, let me go to Prof for just about a minute or two, then we take a break. Prof, thanks once again for joining us. Good morning. Hello, Prof.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Samson.
Right. Also, just briefly, I want to take a break and return. But briefly, I want to hear from you. What do you make of the government's response to Ghanaians in general, including the UTAG, which you were a member of? UTAG nationwide also is saying there should be an immediate halt for a certain time to allow the water some space to heal, and then we reorganize properly. What do you say about government's response to that? That's not the way to go.
Okay, thank you. My first response is that it is better to be broke and healthy than to be rich and dead or sick. That is my very first response. I'll say it again. It is better to be broke and healthy than to be rich and dead or sickly. My main response to the government is that you should show leadership in this matter. Leadership is not for the faint-hearted. In my small position as a parent, if you cannot be tough, if you are not committed to doing what is right, you cannot show leadership even in your own home. Your children will I don't even know the best word to use to describe this. Just imagine a child who likes to have his way, to do the wrong thing. So your child comes and says he wants to leave the tap open to flood the entire house. You know that if that happens, there could be electrocution. There could be a loss of property. And there could be accidents. People could slip and fall and break their heads and so on and so forth. But the child says, if you don't allow me, I'll throw myself on the floor, I'll roll, I'll scream, I'll shout, throw tantrums. And as a parent, you say, well, because I don't want my child to throw tantrums, I'll allow him to go ahead. That is what I'm hearing from the discussions so far. That because people have concessions, because people have invested in an activity that is threatening to wipe everybody off the face of this country called Ghana, we should allow it to happen. For me, that is not the way to go.
They haven't said you should allow it to happen. That don't let those who are doing the right things suffer for the sins of those who are doing the wrong. Is that not fair?
Something, who is doing the right thing? Who is doing the right thing? When you go to the mining site and you talk to people, you speak with people, people have concessions. They are not so small scale. There are rules and regulations, how you should do it, how you should reclaim the land. They are not doing that. They release their concessions to people, and they don't do the mining. They give it to illegal miners and collect fees from them. This is what we get from the field. When you go to the field and talk to the people who are in the pits, the pits don't belong to them. They belong to people who are in positions to buy champagnes and positions to buy excavators and so on and so forth. And they lease the land to them. So they have permission to mine responsibly. But they check that responsibility probably in order to maximize profit and allow wrongdoing to go on. We are not saying, UTAG and all the other people are not saying ban mining forever. That's not what we are saying. Right. But we are saying at this rate, let us put a stop and rethink, relook at the things we need to see. We have been taught something between you and I. We've been going this path for at least the past 3 years. And things are getting even worse. How can we continue to do the same things and expect different results?
Yes, so that's the point, Prof. You are asking for the same things to be done.
Yeah,
there was a ban. There was a ban. It didn't yield any results, and here we are. You say we should go back to the ban. There was the deployment of the military and the police. You say we should go back to that same thing.
Yes. No. The ban was an artificial ban. It was an artificial ban. Last week when I spoke to the Super Morning Show crew, the minister was there and he said, he promised that within 24 hours, the people we see by the roadside in Konongo and Etiwa areas are going to go off. And I said, yes, they are going to go off so that we cannot see them. But are we sure that you are not going to tell them to go inside where we cannot see them? See, that's what happened. If government is committed, when he says there is a ban, and the government truly means it, nobody will defy it. But is the government telling us that they are unable to govern this nation, that they cannot ensure that the right things are done? I don't believe it.
All right, Prof.
They have everything they need. The police is there, the military, the citizens. We are here, and we are saying ban it.
All right.
For halt it, maybe ban it, halt it, stop it, and then let's rethink, reconfigure the whole situation to see what, so we can do it.
All right.
If we want to do it, we can do it.
Prof, we'll be right back. Thank you very much.
Running, but the trust in the water that flows through them has evaporated. Consumers are turning to sachet water, a costly alternative. But even this doesn't bring peace of mind. Even as the pollution of the rivers continue unabated, the managing director of Ghana Water Company Limited, Clifford Brymer, believes the water they produce is good enough for drinking and that there is no cause for alarm.
It's marketing. The sachet water people want to let them know that, and to your surprise, most of the sachet people fetch our water and bag it. They don't do any treatment process, but they tell them what is in that bag is more wholesome than where they fetched it. Because they fetch it into another container. Probably the container is contaminated. And they will now put it in a bag, close it and sell it to you. So there are marketing issues that is creating trust issues. But we can tell her. That's why I told you that we've done this ISO. Just to tell you, this is not a Ghanaian thing alone. It's an international standard that Ghana Water Company has gotten its system certified that we produce water to this level. So if anybody says, oh, I won't drink the water because it's because somebody else has. You let the researchers that you are talking about tell you when they run study on our water, the sachet water, and those two, the coliforms levels, where they found most. It's not for me to tell you, but you can find out. And then you realize that, no, it's not Ghana water.
The question of whether the water flowing from our taps is free from heavy metals and other contaminants is a matter of great sensitivity. It touches on both public health and trust in our infrastructure. At the heart of this issue is the Ghana Water Company, which shoulders the vital responsibility of delivering water to households across the country. Ensuring that this water meets safety standards falls to the Ghana Standards Authority, whose role in inspection, testing, and metrology provides a crucial layer of quality assurance. At the helm of the Ghana Standards Authority is Professor Alexander Dodu, the Director General overseeing efforts to guarantee that the water Ghanaians rely on meets the highest safety and quality standards.
The Ghana Standards for water excludes the presence of heavy metals, period. So any activity which will contribute to the presence of heavy metal in water, because if you're using a borehole, it's going to be surface water. You're going to drill down, but whatever is on the surface will percolate down. So, and heavy metal doesn't go away. So wherever there is heavy metal, it will show up in water. If heavy metal shows up in water, that water is not safe, nor fit for consumption. So I think you can draw the analogy that any activity, whether it's galamsey, whatever activity, leads to lead, mercury, any other heavy metal being present, and being present such that it can be in water, poses a risk to human health. Anything which exposes the environment to an increased level of heavy metals puts everybody in Ghana at risk.
In homes across the country, this is the new reality. Even as they pour from sachet, the people of Ghana drink with suspicion. The unseen consequences of galamsey have infiltrated every aspect of life, eroding trust and safety in something as basic as water.
We use this same pipe water to bath ourselves. And as a lady, you use this water to wash your under. It's giving us effects. To be frank, it's giving us effects. Sometimes when I fetch the water and I'm going to use it to bath, and then use that same water to my underpart, it's very scary.
Towns and cities across the country. Taps are running.
You're welcome back. My guest in the studio now, John Alote, Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission. Martin Kwekwesi is the Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, and Professor Gladys Nyako Ansan is Associate Professor and co-principal investigator of the University of York, UK, and University of Ghana Galamsey Project. This show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go. HSU University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. DPS International, where every child shines. There's a new school in town with such good record. Flamingo Paints, simply superior. And my outfits, as always, is by Konati Clothing. They are at Adenta Shopping Center, Adenta Down. You can call them 0244 676732. Konati Clothing, where what you wear counts. Now, that's how time runs. But let me share a few of your messages and I get back to my guest. This one, you say that President Akufo-Addo has no intention of fighting galamsey. He's only dancing around the problem to protect his selfish interests. This is what happens when you give fried fish to a cat for safekeeping. Next one says President Akufo-Addo seems not to understand what it means to, quote, put your presidency on the line, end quote. And I pray some English scholar will send him a note explaining that to him so he does the needful. Heat ought to have been put, heat ought to have been put on him to resign ASAP without any excuse. Well, he'll tell you that he has, in fact, because he will explain and the NPP will explain to you, even though some people dispute that this is the reason the NPP is said to have lost the elections in 2020 in almost all galamsey or mining areas except one place, Zetakwa. Emmanuel J. Bequing, you say, as an ordinary citizen, it worries me that I have become numb to my government's rhetoric on galamsey crimes. But as one whose livelihood depends on agriculture, I must be awake from deadening posture. This deadening posture, that's why we must all join organized labor. Christopher Clovey, you say, I don't know at what point an MPP supporter can take a deep breath and say, my party failed Ghanaians, end quote. Our leaders need to know when they fail us so they can make corrections. Uncle Ben, Joe, you say, it's valid and justifiable. What does the EC have to hide that? Okay, it's enough of that. Thank you. Now, we have very, very limited time, and it so often happens. The response from the public is a question I put to you, that if you are in charge to ensure that this does not happen and it's happening, and all the work you say you have done, over how long now, has only led to a worsening situation, you don't deserve to remain in that office. What do you say?
Samson, I serve at the pleasure of the president. I'll leave it as that.
Would you say you have done well?
Extremely well.
You say the best way is to give licenses to formalize the processes. You have given 1,500 plus within a short period of time, which should have solved the problem, but it is worse.
Well, not necessarily. Something, when I indulge you, I will plead. You see, last weekend, today, the researchers, the professors, the likes of Madame Glasses Nyakun, Sampini and Co. are giving Erastus, you know, they get like 30 minutes to explain the issues very well. I have to go and buy airtime and also, you know, explain what we've done. I wish, rather than just come here, answer questions and try to explain, be accountable to Ghanaians, we are also giving our opportunity to also showcase what we've done. I hope that opportunity will come, because like last week, I mean, Erasmus has like, Erastus, had like 30 minutes. The other professor had about, you know, some 30 minutes. They were explaining, which is fine, because then we understood the to borrow your word.
This was not intended.
Yeah.
I understand.
So we also need more time.
That's fair.
To be able to explain in
That's
detail
fair.
the achievements of the government.
That's fair.
What government has done. A quick one, something on the forest issue. We don't allow lawful small-scale mining in forest reserves. So anything that happens in the forest to that effect is illegal. So let's circle that and then put it aside. There's no lawful small-scale mining in forest reserve. It's not allowed. It's not permitted. So that's out of the way. Now, if you say they should ban mining in forest reserves, again, that's why government is calling for engagement to explain a few things, and then we can move it from there. So it means that any call for a ban means that you should stop large-scale mining in forest, because you can allow small-scale. So are we saying, okay, Newmont, Chirano, Wassa, and all those mines should stop? Or Ghana Bossa, that has been around since 1940, to stop? That is one. We need that understanding. Or is it a case that, oh, okay, there's no law which says you cannot mine in forest reserve. We want you to stop it altogether. So in that case, you are saying to government or to the minister, don't issue new licenses. So these ones, for example, the government can look at that and say, okay, if you say we shouldn't issue new licenses in forest, you know, for XY reason until we sort out a few things, we can look at it. That's why I'm saying that this engagement government is calling for is not like the usual talk shop. It's just to clarify a few things which in some of the statements I think we got it all wrong, because there's no small scale in forest. It's illegal. So if you say, hang on, if you say stop mining in forest reserve, then you're asking that the likes of Newmont, Ghana Bauxite, Wassa Underground, and the other Chirano, they shouldn't operate.
The 15 companies that the Fourth Estate has flagged, all of which companies have been traced to some MPP guys, are they are mining in the forest reserve, or they have made application to mine in the forest reserve? All of these, they are not small scale?
They are not small scale. I'll say a few things and defer to my senior brother to respond.
To me, this company is not small scale.
No, hang on. I will say a few things. Okay. Sometimes you need to give us time to explain the law.
All right.
Then I'll give you an opportunity to my brother on my left to talk about that, because he issues the forestry entry permit. Something, if you need to mine in forest, you need a couple of authorizations or approvals. For example, you must have a license, okay, issued by the minister acting on the recommendation of the Minerals Commission. He may agree or disagree. Then you need an environmental permit from the Environmental Protection Agency. You need a forestry entry permit from my brother's outfit. And then you even have to agree with him some kind of plan as to how you reclaim the areas you are going to impact. Again, you also need an operating permit. There are all kinds of permits that you require. So any company, entity that has not got all these authorizations, approval of permits, anything that you do is illegal.
All right.
We need to put that in context. So maybe I'll yield the floor to him to answer whether these ones that have been flagged by Fourth Estate, anything has been given.
All right.
So you might see a license in the name of a company on our website. It does not necessarily mean they've been given a license to mine, because there are other approvals or authorizations.
So if small scale is not allowed, completely prohibited in the forest reserve, what's going on there?
Yeah, there are, companies, large-scale mining companies. Some of them have been around for a long time, 20 years plus. So they come for renewals. For instance, Newmont Golden Ridge Limited has been there. They come for renewal from time to time. Ashanti Gold, Kubi Gold, they all come for renewals.
We know those big ones, those that were flagged,
every year.
who got their license since 2023, Unipower Mining Company, the Elite Mining Minerals, Sam and Jan, Sampines Company, Nana Ansar Resources Limited.
No, there are a lot of them.
Clean Jobs, yeah.
No. The only, aside the three that I've mentioned, that have been around and come for renewals, you have another 4 that have permits, forest entry permits. Like one is Co-Entry Mining, Kingspec, Sam and Jan.
Right.
That the rest, in terms of gold, this is all we have that have a forest entry permit. They are the only ones. Then we have.
So all those who are saying...
No, we have some other 3.
You should reverse this law that allows for mining in the forest reserve. They don't know the facts.
As I said, the The area they mentioned is the one with the globally significant biodiversity.
That's correct.
Look, this one is clear in the section 3.2 that it must come with approval in writing by the president. I've not received anything like that.
Okay.
So I've not issued any permit to anybody to mine in GSBA. There are other ones like the Ghana Bauxite Company that has been there for a long time. Then you have the Savannah Cement. That also in the Yakumbo in the Savannah region. Those are non-gold mining, companies in the forest reserve. All the other ones probably may be in one state or the other, but no forest entry permit for mining has been issued to them.
Okay, Samson, let me say this. So we will do ourselves a lot of favor.
So what is your plan? What is your plan? The two of you, briefly in a minute each. What is your plan? If your plan to keep the integrity of our water bodies and our forest, everything, has been working. This is where we are. What's your plan?
Something, as I mentioned in the beginning, we need to look at why people are engaged in illegal mining, especially the...
What's the plan you are working to?
Small scale. So we are working towards that. If we don't do that, we'll not be working towards that. We'll be asking for a ban, and we'll leave the ban and come back, and we'll be arresting a lot of people and coming back. The first thing is that for most of them, they don't seem to be deriving the expected benefits from agriculture and other, activities that happen in those communities.
Now Cocoa is suffering.
Then we have the some of them who also feel that they should also be given opportunity to participate in a lucrative business like mining. So, if you look at the reforms, one of them is to have more of the community mining, which will provide the local communities the opportunity to also participate in mining. We also need to look at the agricultural side, so that they will be engaged in gainful employment. So based on that, you realize that we continue to deal with enforcement. We do engagement. The reforms is being handled by Minerals Commission. We do enforcement. On record, the Attorney General mentioned at the bar conference that we have 850 people being prosecuted for galamsey.
Still, this is what we have.
So that is also telling you what we are doing in terms of enforcement. If you have 850 people, so it means that something else should accompany the enforcement.
Is there something else?
So we need to deal with livelihood.
Yeah, Mr. AC, is there something else? Very important. Is there something else what the minister is saying, that the ministers, the MCs, MMDCs or MCs are going to take charge and escalate the process? We have had the government itself look deep within itself and say, we know DCs who are involved and everything. How do you hand the enforcement to people who are complicit themselves?
Something. The president has been clear on this. He says, go out there and get those things in the water body out. I mean, there's no two ways about that. So we'll see the next few days or weeks to come whether those things will not happen. That is number one. Something. You see, for the past 2 weeks that we've been watching this, again, I make no apologies because I don't want people to get the impression that we live in space and we don't know what is happening. We eat food from those areas. People keep mentioning names. And then you ask them to mention names, or people keep saying big men are involved, some politicians are involved. And then you ask for names, nothing is forthcoming. When the Busumi Freun thing came up, okay, and it was clear that something is linked to him in the area of illegal money, the president acted. So we hear people say, oh, this money is involved, they are big people. Even the other day, somebody was even mentioning my name. I will deal with it anyway. but something. Well,
people say Professor from Boateng gave names, and now he's saddled with suits that he can't afford.
One more thing.
I'm sorry, but we have come to the end. I want to apologize to Professor Gladys Nyako Ansa because we couldn't come to you to hear a lot more from you, who has also been on the ground and can give us some independent thoughts on it. Thanks very much for your time once again. John Alote, Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Martin Kwekweisi, Chief Executive, Minerals Commission, and Prof, and all those that we spoke to earlier. I'm Samson Ladia Yanini. Thank you once again. This is Newsfile.